What is your take, though, on the argument, and especially around crypto, but other things as well, that rather than create new rules or even new laws that might have to be put into effect, that you have effectively regulated through legislation? I mean, that is a huge...
we don't legislate.
No, I understand that you don't legislate, but that rather than have legislation or push for legislation or even implement rules that could be with real sort of bright lines, if you will, that what's happened here, especially in the crypto world, is that it's been done through the form of legislation. I mean, not legislation, through lawsuits, effectively.
So what we are a law enforcement agency, and Congress set us up to be both. We oversee the markets. We approve all those registrations when people go public and so forth. But we also, about 700 plus times a year, bring actions. We have to go in front of a judge and sometimes juries. So now it brings it back to this new innovation. And what Satoshi Nakamoto did, we're almost at October, so it's almost the 16th anniversary, 16th birthday of Bitcoin.
Right.
And it's an innovation. But innovations don't long thrive if they don't also build trust. I mean, the automobile wouldn't have survived if you didn't have traffic lights, if you didn't have stop signs, and even cops on the road to make sure there weren't accidents. And so that's part of our role as being cops on the beat, and the rules are about the traffic lights to make sure. So in crypto, if you want to raise money from the public, there's a basic idea that you put out fundamental disclosures so that the investing public gets to choose.
So is your argument that you're doing this to make crypto stronger?
We're again, merit neutral. Crypto is only a small part of our capital markets. I mean, it's a little less than 1% of the world capital markets. But it's basically to instill trust and protect investors. Look at the leading lights in this field, in the crypto field just 2 years ago. A number of them are in jail right now. And I'm not just talking about SBF. I mean, a number of others. Yeah. And there's been tens of billions of dollars of losses and bankruptcies and so forth. What field in America, innovative field in America, survives without building trust in that field and protecting investors or consumers? You know, if you're selling cribs or something, you don't want people to have a problem with the cribs.
What we've heard from both candidates running in this election, first from candidate Trump and then from candidate Harris, is that they're going to be opening the doors probably and being more open to what crypto enthusiasts would like to see. Does that pose a problem, or are the rules kind of laid out at this point, the ground rules?
Look, I'm not going to comment on elections. I'm in a role that I've
worked
on elections,
policies.
And I love that, too.
No,
that
I'm not asking for a comment on the election, just on the policies that both candidates seem to be embracing.
But on the policies, I think it's quite clear that investor protection helps build innovation. Innovation is compatible with investor or consumer protection if it's about automobiles or cribs or anything else. I think they complement each other. And I said this when I was teaching back at MIT. I said, this field will not long survive if you can't build that investor trust in the markets.
So does the idea of a looser policy concern you, that it would break down trust and the public would be at risk?
Well, I think that we have a time-tested set of laws and rules in our securities markets. Basic things. Investors get to decide, but they get disclosure. Roosevelt called it the Truth in Securities Act. The basic idea, we're in this building that NASDAQ exists. NASDAQ doesn't have the conflict of also running a hedge fund, trading on the market, and those conflicts inside of those. And so it's sort of like ensuring that you get the disclosures and you're protected against, kind of the insiders.
But there's some argument to be made that you want this, that actually it would be better if all of this business was happening in the U.S. You talk about an SBF. Obviously, that was taking place in the Bahamas. And, a lot of people were trying to do things in other places. If there was a real regime here that everybody could trust and we had established rules and there weren't these questions about whether you were going to go over the line or you're behind the line, where the line was, would that be better?
I think that we do have those rules.
So you think those lines exist. Why do people in the industry say that they don't know what the rules are?
Look, not liking the rules is not the same as that there aren't rules. And I think there's a lot that have profited off of the public's interest in this field, but profited without the proper disclosures. And inherently, there's business models that have a lot of conflicts. And we've seen the results of that time in and time again. Outside of crypto and inside of crypto, we see what happens when there's so inherent conflict. So we've got 90 years of experience with this, Andrew. It works reasonably well. We've got the deepest, most liquid capital markets. We're trying to make them more efficient. What we're doing in the equity markets,
I think
what we're
you're
doing in
warming
the treasury
up
markets.
to top-tier crypto. That's my take.
What's that?
I think you're warming up to top-tier crypto. I don't think you think it's a monolith. I think you think there might be some actual usage or benefit to top-tier crypto. Would you say that recently you're evolving to where... Go ahead.
Joe, where are you on what's called altcoins? There's 15 or 20,000.
That's what I know.
Where are you, Joe?
But you, when you came in, you said, that I probably only own Bitcoin, and you act like that's okay for me because I don't own all the garbage. I think you were thinking. So I just get the feel.
Garbage was your word.
I know, but are you warming up to top?
Huh? It was not that kind of a word that you used.
Actually,
right.
Joe, for the public, used a stronger word than garbage.
I did, but are you warming up? Do you see that it's probably here to stay and something that could be useful?
This is something I said to students 4 and 5 years ago.
I know, but you didn't say it to once you were the SEC chairman.
No. That this field will not long persist without investor protection or consumer protection.
Number
two, many of these projects, without prejudging anyone, are tapping into the public's interest to raise money. That's the classic securities sort of protections that you put in place. You can decide to go long or short these projects, but you need the disclosures. And as it relates to Bitcoin, my predecessor and I have said that's not a security. You now have a way that you can actually express that view, buy into that through exchange-traded products, traded on NASDAQ, traded on New York Stock Exchange, and the like.
Okay, that's a yes then.
Where do you think Bitcoin is going to be in our society 20 years from now? If you were to sort of,
I don't really know.
You have any idea?
I don't know. I mean, there's 7 billion people around the globe. I'm not going to make a prediction as to any one project, but what I would say is the field is going to have a challenge building trust, and it already has a challenge building trust when there's so many fraudsters, scammers, grifters in the field, and there are.
But what happens if, for example, former President Trump is talking about whether we should have effectively a Bitcoin reserve fund, a sovereign Bitcoin fund? Would you be in favor of something like that?
Again, I'm going to
take the policy out, take the politics out of it. I'm just asking, if someone in Congress came to you and said, "Hey, Gary, we're thinking of creating a sovereign wealth fund in Bitcoin," would you say that's a good idea? That's a bad idea?
I would say I'm going to stick to the role I'm in. It's a great role overseeing as chair of an agency.
But you're a very smart guy who knows a lot about this space. You've taught about this space. You should. I imagine you have a view. Is it that you don't feel like you can share the view, or it's that you don't have a? I don't believe you don't have a view.
No, I have a view. I have a view.
And you're saying it's the role. Given your role, you think you're not supposed to say.
I think, given my role, and also we're in election season, so I just think for the listening public, I will stick to my chalk lines, and my chalk lines are securities markets, and Chairman Powell and others at the Federal Reserve could speak to that. But yes, I do have a view on that.